So yesterday we have started with DynamoDB. We have covered in detail what is DynamoDB. It's a NoSQL database in the cloud. Okay. It required key value pair. We have seen its primary key. Okay. We have seen it required one primary key. Your data is distributed into different ability zone within the region. Okay. It has strong consistency and eventual consistency. We have seen DynamoDB has a feature called ACID transaction where you can write multiple entries in multiple table as a all or nothing feature. Means all the table will be updated or none of the table will be updated. That is called ACID transactions. Generally used in financial institutes. Then we have seen primary key. We have two type of primary key: partition key and composite key. Partition key is a single key. We use as a unique key in your DynamoDB table. Okay, if you don't have a primary key, you can go with a composite key. It is a partition key with sort key. So a combination of two columns, two attribute should be unique. Okay, we have covered till here yesterday. Now advanced DynamoDB. So similar to our RDS. Okay, or if you want to increase the performance of your database, DynamoDB database, then are the couple of options? Okay, one is to enable the cache. Always remember, in your S3 bucket, in RDS, in DynamoDB, anywhere, if you want to increase the performance, one of the option is enabling the cache. So in DynamoDB also you can enable the cache. It's a DynamoDB accelerator. It's a fully managed, highly available in-memory cache. You don't have to do anything, just have to enable it. It will improve the performance of your DynamoDB, reduce the request time from millisecond to microsecond under the heavy load. No need for developer to manage the cache logic, compatibility with DynamoDB API calls. So basically, in the cloud, in the console, you just have to enable the checkbox for DynamoDB accelerator. It will be a chargeable service where your data will be cached, frequently access data will be cached and increase the performance of your DynamoDB. Now DynamoDB comes in two flavors. One is basically charges of DynamoDB, or how the DynamoDB is charged or configured is based on two factors. Is one is on demand, other is provision one. Now what is the difference between on demand and provision one? Okay, so on demand basically, okay, let's understand provision one. Provision one is basically I am defining what is my read and write capacity. So I am defining that per second 5 read and per second 5 write should be allowed in my DynamoDB, and according to this you will be charged. Till now, we are using EC2 machine, we are using RDS, but I told you in DynamoDB we don't have to maintain any server, we don't have to maintain any VM, virtual machines. Everything is done by Amazon underline. Okay, Amazon is doing everything for you, you just have to use the table. Okay, but using the table, Amazon wants to understand what is your requirement. If you are not using the table that frequently, and if you don't want a huge capacity, and you know that this table is very not that much frequently used, so you can define the capacity of the table. Just like in Aurora we have defined what is the minimum capacity, so that is the provision capacity. So max, if you define that 5 read and 5 write should be allowed in my DynamoDB, accordingly you will charge. Okay, So while creating the table, so if you create a table here, if you're creating a table, you have to define the primary key, the sort key, the name, and apart from that you have to define the capacity. You can see the capacity mode, provision one. By default it is 5 read and 5 write. By default it's 5 read and 5 write. Read capacity and write capacity. Read capacity unit, write capacity unit. If you want to make it customized, okay, if you, so you can click on customization and set your capacity according to your use case. Okay. Yes. Oh, I was sharing. Okay, now it's visible. Okay, so the DynamoDB capacity, basically I'm talking about the capacity. So first one is provision one. It's similar to how much capacity you want to work in your DynamoDB. So if you go to your DynamoDB, okay, create a table. So table name, primary key, secondary key, and you can see right now here it is a, by default it's 5 read and 5 write. Okay, this is a provision one. You can see provision one. So you are telling that to Amazon that my DynamoDB max capacity should be 5 read and 5 write. Why this is important? Because accordingly you will be getting charged, because Amazon is not providing any underlying hardware to you to provision, right? It's a database again. There should be some underlying machine should be running, but it's a feature. DynamoDB is a serverless where you don't have to manage the cluster, you don't have to manage the EC2 machine or any underlying hardware, but you have to define the capacity. So you can see here read capacity. Okay, if you are going for the default setting, it is 5 read and 5 write, but if you are going with the custom one, you can see maximum capacity you want to define. Okay, so accordingly you will be getting charged. So you can see the charges of DynamoDB. If you have the read and write capacity as 5, $3 per month, a project estimated cost. Okay, so you have to provide the read and write capacity. That is a provision one. So if you are somebody is accessing your DynamoDB and you are crossing the limit, let's say you are trying to read 200 records per request, then it will give a throttling error. It is going to give a throttling error because you have defined the read and write capacity. Okay, this is a provision one. So I am providing the read and write capacity. Now there is a second capacity mode is on demand. On demand is basically you don't have to define any predefined read and write capacity in advance. Amazon will take care of everything. Even if your workload is increasing, Amazon can go up to 1,000 read requests and so on. So you are not defining. So if you are using 10 read and write, Amazon will mitigate that request. If you are trying to read 1,000, 10,000 requests per second, still Amazon will able to handle it. Okay, so now you will say, sir, on demand is much better than provision one because we don't have to do anything and it is auto scaling. Okay, the problem with on demand is costlier as compared to provision one. Okay, here we are sure that there will be no throttling. Amazon will scale up the DynamoDB as per the load. There is no pre-configuration. We don't have to pre-configure anything. Okay, so that's the on-demand capacity. Pay per request pricing, balance cost versus performance, no minimum capacity required. Pay more as compared to provision one. Now this is important. There will be a higher charges in on demand, because in provision you are giving the capacity. In on demand you are not providing the capacity, and Amazon has to decide on the fly. Okay, so pay more as request than provision one, generally used for new product. Okay, now next is global table. What is global table? In RDS, how you can improve the performance of your database? By enable read replica, right? By enable read replica in RDS. In DynamoDB, there is no concept called read replica, but it is called global table. Now, one of the technique is to enable the cache. Okay, one of the technique is to enable the cache. In even in your RDS, we can enable the cache, and we are going to read it about in some time. Okay, but in DynamoDB, there is one concept called global table. Now, what is global table? Okay, so global table is basically means if you have created one table in US and you want to replicate the same table in Australia. Okay, so in RDS we can enable read replicas. We can achieve this by using read replica. You can create a primary table in US and a read replica in Australia. But in DynamoDB, if you want to leverage the same functionality, where you have created one table in America, and you require the same copy of the database in Australia, and it should be in sync. So in DynamoDB, it is called global table. So if you go to your console, click on your database, click on your table. Okay, this is your table settings. Click on global table. Click on global table. So this is replicate your data into different region. Global table is to create a replica copy of your table in different region. Create a replica. Okay, select a region. So right now we are in Mumbai. Let's go to create in Virginia. Create. Okay, now it will take couple of minutes if you're creating it very first time. Okay, so yeah, let's wait it. Okay, so what is a global table? It is a managed multi-master multi-region replication, globally distributed application based on DynamoDB stream. Okay, multi-region redundancy for HA and highly availability. So basically, you have a primary table in US, and you have a another table in Australia. It can act as a backup as well. So if your primary goes down, if your primary region goes down, still you will be able to access your data in different region. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to write any code. Just in couple of clicks, we have enabled the global table. Replication latency is under 1 second. So basically, whatever the updates you are doing in the primary region, it will be automatically replicated into destination table, and it's vice versa. If you are doing any changes in here, it will replicate it in US as well. Okay, so let me open Virginia. So remember yesterday I have shown you that there is no table as master table. Now you can see here I am in Mumbai region. Here it is creating a replica. Okay, if I go to Virginia, it's it has created or it's working. Now there is right now no table here. Means there is no information or records are present. So it is creating right now. So after the creation, so all this information, all the records will be replicated to Virginia. And if I enter a new record here, if I enter a new item, it will be replicated immediately in Virginia, and vice versa. If I'm updating anything in Virginia, it will be pushed to Mumbai as well. Okay. Any question in global table? Okay. Now DynamoDB stream, this is a new feature which Amazon has introduced in DynamoDB. So this advanced DynamoDB, you just have to understand the concept. Okay, you don't have to go in depth. Very rare questions are coming in interview and exam, but you should know. That's why I have kept DynamoDB stream. So what is DynamoDB stream? So if you are doing any update in your table, okay, if you are inserting an item, if you are updating your existing record, and you want to create an event, you want to create an event, you want to create a notification and send an email to you on a record level, so you can enable DynamoDB stream. So this is a time record sequence of a item level change in the table. So you can see item level change. So any change in the table, if you're adding, updating or deleting any record, any item in your table, a notification or a event will be created, a alert will be created, and you can send it to your email, or you want to do some action, you can send to EC2 machine, you can send it to Lambda or other application. Okay, it is insert, update or delete combined with Lambda function for functionality like store procedure. So the event, the notification will be stored up to 24 hours. Okay, so for DynamoDB stream, just right now remember, if any change in the table entry level, okay, if you are inserting a record, you are updating a record or deleting a record, you can create a notification and utilize that notification anywhere, creating an alert basically. Now we are talking about database, so there should be backups and restoration. So full backup at any time, you can take full backup, zero impact on the performance. uh, there is no daily backup of DynamoDB. Remember, in DynamoDB there is no automatic daily backup. You have to take backup manually. You have to take backup manually. There is no automatic backup. So that's why I have written on-demand backup. Okay, that is why I have written on-demand backup. So when you're doing on-demand backup or manual backup, it is a full backup, no impact on your performance, consistency within write and retention until delete. Okay, operate with the within the same region as the source, so your backup will be created in the same region. Now, if you want to recover your database, let's say your database, somebody has deleted your database, and you have to restore it. So protect against accidental write and delete. Point in recovery. This is called point in recovery. So you can recover your database, restore it at the point in last 35 days. So your backups will be available for last 35 days. So if you are creating a backup, manual backup, up to 35 days backups will be available. Incremental backups are there. Not enabled by default. Latest restorable every 5 minutes in the past. So if you go in your DynamoDB, okay, here is backup. So there is no backup right now, you can see, and there is no automatic backup. Now there's a feature called point in time recovery. Point in time recovery provides continuous backup of your DynamoDB for last 35 days. Here this is your continuous backup. This is your manual backup. Okay, so you can back up your table, and for last 35 days you will be able to restore your data from this backup. Okay, backup and restoration. Now coming to encryption, your database, again we are dealing with data, so you need to encrypt your data. If you want to encrypt your data, you can use Amazon KMS service to enable the encryption on your database. Okay, and what are the other security? Side to side VPN, direct connect, this we are going to learn. IAM policy and role, so you can enable IAM role. So let's say this is your user, and this user want to access your DynamoDB table. So you can, how is that user will able to access the table? Using IAM role and policy and user policy. You have to give the permission for this DynamoDB. So the IAM policy, you can go to a granular level, that which table do you want to access, table name, even at the record level. So let's say in your table there are 1,000 records, and I want a user should able to access only the record which has class value equal to 5. If there is a value 7 and you don't want a user to access the value with class value as 7, you can do that. A user can only access class value as 5. So a granular level policy can be created. IAM policy, custom policy you have to create, where you can give a granular record level access. So fine granular access is possible. So DB access, table level access or record level access, you can create a policy accordingly. Monitoring, CloudWatch and CloudTrail. That is called VPC endpoint. We'll cover this in our VPC section. These two. So for exam tip, DynamoDB is fast, flexible NoSQL database service for applications that need consistent single-digit millisecond latency at any scale. Solid, the data is stored in the SSD. Your data is automatically replicated into multiple availability zone within a region. Eventual consistency, even it is support strong consistency, but you have to pay extra money. It support ACID transactions. Primary key, every DynamoDB table required a primary key. It is a must key you should provide while creating the table. Okay, it consists of partition and composite key. Partition key, if you have, it's a unique key. If you don't have a unique key, you can combine two columns together to create a unique key, that is a composite key, partition key plus short key. DynamoDB accelerator, it is basically caching your data to enable the fast performance of your DynamoDB table. On demand capacity and provision capacity. Provision, basically you provide fixed capacity of your DynamoDB table so that you don't get extra charge and nobody will able to access, or you want to limit the access of your DynamoDB table, read and write access. On demand, basically you are letting Amazon decide the capacity of a DynamoDB table. If the load increases, it will increase the capacity. If load decreases, it will decrease the capacity, but you will be charged accordingly. Backup and restoration are supported in DynamoDB table. Stream, DynamoDB stream, it is a new concept where a record level change can be monitored and a trigger will be created. Global table, it's a read replica of your DynamoDB table where you can replicate your data into multiple availability zone, multiple region. So multi-manage master, multi-region replication. Security, encryption, IAM policy, CloudTrail and CloudWatch. These are the features of DynamoDB. So let me check if global table is created or not. So you can see global table is created in Virginia. I'm in Mumbai. A copy of this is in Virginia. Now you can see I'm in Virginia, table is present. Now if I add anything in Mumbai, okay, I'm in Mumbai region. If I create an entry here, roll number 10, name global table, okay. Okay, you can even add like this, add a new record string, class 5 9, create. Now I have created an entry here as roll number 10. Now if you go here and just refresh, the value should be here. You can see now it is replicated in Mumbai. Now if I do any changes here, okay, instead of class 9, if I enter 8, update it as 8, save. If I refresh it here, you can see it came back here. So it is a sync between both the region, okay. So now you can see read capacity use 5.5, read capacity use 3. So accordingly you will be charged. So the best thing about Dynamodb is if you're creating a table, and you are not using it, so Amazon will not charge you anything. Unlike in RDS, you have to create a machine, right? In RDS, you have to create a machine, and machine should be running 24/7. But in RDS, you don't have to worry about that because there is no machine. It's a serverless. So if you're using it, then only Amazon will charge you. Okay, that's it all about DynamoDB. Let me delete the table. So while deleting it, you can create a backup, but I don't want to create a backup. If you want, you can create a backup of the table. Okay, it is saying that you can delete after 24 hours because global table is enabled. So delete the global table, delete the application. Then delete the table. But Amazon is not going to charge you anything. Any question in this?